Did you know that crocodiles can grow up to 17 feet? Teacher asked class. And Temba says, that would be strange and very unusual because I've only seen them with 4. Good evening and welcome to Talk with Rams. And tonight on the Quickie, we speak to somebody who is a motivational speaker, a life coach, even a language trainer. I mean, she can even train me to speak better. I hope by the time she lives here, I'll be able to pronounce even better. She has studied here and in the US. She's an author, and we've got a book in my hands here. She's a girl from Port Elizabeth, eBhayi, uZintle Ncipa. Molo.
Molo bhuti.
Unjani?
Ndiyaphila unjani?
Ndimhle man, ndimhle. Nkosi, thank you very much for asking. Who are you? What brand are you most?
And to change people's minds, to influence them
Yeah.
to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
That is the key thing for me.
So you know, xothetha nomakhulu athi uphangela phi mntanam? Where do you earn your money?
You don't
How do you
understand
answer
how real that
umakhulu?
is. You don't understand how real that is.
Yeah,
Like,
I know it is. Trust me, I do.
because sometimes I get announced in family meetings, and I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. Like,
I do work.
I contributed today. Did you remember that? Well, again, it's more freelancing, I guess, if you want to give it a title.
Yeah.
But there's money from speaking
Yeah.
to people and making sure that they make money so that I can make money.
Yeah.
And selling books.
And what's your keynote? What do you speak about?
Embracing change and your authentic self, because I believe in the core of who you are, there's your purpose,
Yeah.
and there's your calling, and there's your destiny. It lies there.
Mm.
So I really, really believe that once you embrace change that you implement, not as in technology change,
Yes.
as in, okay, who do I want to be? And then go forward.
I work on who I want to be.
That's
yes.
the change I'm talking about. Because
Yes.
everyone talks about the embrace change.
Yeah.
No.
Easier said than done.
Yes.
Yes.
The one that you intentionally work on, okay, what can I study? What can I do? What can I listen to? Where can I go? That change. And then in those shiftings that you make, there lies your purpose and your destiny and your money.
Where does this journey begin? I mean, I'm sure a few years ago, there was not Zintle like this. Where did it all begin?
Absolutely not. I left when I was 17 after high school.
Yeah.
Because I wanted
A few years ago,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
So the journey began, I think, when I felt most broken, because when I came here, I had this idealistic picture of how my life was going to look, and my life never looked like that at all. And because it never looked like that, I was getting further and further in the pit. And I was not digging the pit, life was digging it.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had no control. And I always had this question, there has to be more I can do to get out of this hole. And the hole was getting deeper and deeper. So in that, I started having questions about me, about life, about purpose, about destiny, about people that were successful. I remember one time I lived in Pretoria when I first moved. I was standing in Pretoria and I saw these young girls driving cars, looking great. And I was like, why can't I be that girl? Like, why in the Militex?
So what did you do?
The first thing I did was I first realized that I was broken. That's why life was leading me and I was not leading life.
Yeah.
I was very broken, out of hurt, out of things that happened in my childhood, and I first needed to heal, because in order for you to implement any change, you need to let go of certain things. Otherwise, we'll always shift blame. Yeah, you'll justify why you're there.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you take a step, your mind will be like, I mean, your dad wasn't there for you. And then you take another step and something like, but I was abused.
Yeah.
And then another step. So in order for you to fully move forward, then you have to heal. So I first started healing from past hurts and the abuse I went through and all of those things. And that is a journey, a long journey, intentional journey.
Yeah.
And out of that, then I was okay, great. Whew, I can breathe. Now, who do I want to be? Besides all of that, I'm leaving the baggage behind who I don't want to be. And the person I wanted to be was a person who makes a difference, a person who changes lives, a person who can show other people that it is all possible. And that practically looks like, after I had studied drama, because I came here because I wanted to act and be a big film star. And obviously that didn't work out. That's when the pit started digging. And I went and studied life coaching. In my studying life coaching, I realized a lot of things about the mind and neuroscience and life and dreams. Man, I started dreaming for the first time, like real dreams, not like, oh, I want to be on TV, like for legit things, you know? And that excited me, and that excitement led me to say, you know what, I'm going to take the risk. And I'm saying risk because it's a very tough step to take. I applied online, and I applied to a school in the US. And this was not, I want to go to America. America for me was never a dream place to go to. I've always wanted to go to the UK. But this door opened. I studied how the school teaches and what they offer. And I felt this is going to change my life. This is going to challenge me. This is going to break me. This is going to humble me. This is
So you applied online?
Yes.
Does it mean you studied online?
No.
So you packed up and went to the US?
The other thing I didn't know was US schools start in September. That's their January.
Yes.
Had no idea. Yes, ignorance. And I applied in June. They responded in July. And they're like, okay, great. So you know that we start in September. So when are you coming? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I wanted to start in January. That's I can't get up and go now. And the crazy thing is, a month before I had just signed a contract with Rhythm City at the time, and it was my dream to be in Rhythm City.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. So I'm like, I just signed this contract. I was written about on papers that Gamo hits the city, and this is a big deal. I had a movie that was coming out in cinemas in January, and I want to leave the country to educate myself. What?
But you still did.
I did. I weighed my options. One, I realized that I wanted to be a much better person, a more full person, more knowledgeable person, more intentional person, and I could not do that. Despite the opportunities that were opening, I was still too fragile to walk in them. I genuinely believe, looking back today, had I continued to stay and continued with the doors that had opened, which looked great at the time, they would have destroyed me.
So off you went to Texas, then you did a 3.5-year degree. What you say?
Yes.
What you did? So
I stayed there for 3.5 years.
for 3.5 years, and
Yes.
the degree was 3 years long.
Yes,
Okay.
and then the rest of the time I was an intern. So throughout my third year and the other 6 months I was an intern.
Okay.
So I worked there for some time.
And then you come back home and you decide this is your life now. This is what you're gonna do.
Yes.
How do you then launch yourself into the industry? How did you do? What did you practically do to then get to a point where people start calling, booking you, saying you're the person to speak to listen to help us change and become better?
One, when I was in the US, my confidence developed more. And I also became more sure about myself, more confident. One, I think Americans are really good at saying, man, you're doing a great job. You're a great speaker. You're actually good at that. Man,
Yeah.
I really love that point. They'll take notes. Like, when you said this, that inspired me. And I think that helped me be solid and be sure. Because it's very important to be sure. Because otherwise, if you're not sure, you're not going to trust yourself. I listen to a lot of speakers who don't sound like they know what they're talking about, or they're there, but then they're making money out of it, so they're still doing it.
Yeah.
But then that also helps you to grow even better and to improve. And when I came back, the first thing before I came back, I had to do a reality check. And after doing that, I also had to list down things I learned and things I'm willing to give back to other people.
Yeah.
So I had made a list of 100 things I learned while I was in the US, humility and all of those things. Okay, what is my intention for going back to South Africa? Because after you've lived in a different continent for that long, home is not really, really home. You start thinking, home is wherever I lay my head, I guess.
I'm a global citizen.
You know what I mean? And because of that, now everything I do had to be purposeful and intentional. I'm going back to South Africa. Why? There's a lot of speakers in South Africa, motivational.
I was about to ask you, there's lots. What differentiates you?
What's the big deal about you? So I go back there, especially because my career had already started growing very well in the US. And I had to say, one, I'm an African child. And I believe that what I have is different because I don't believe that motivation on its own makes people be great. There's a lot of that. Wherever I go, people are listening to videos and being motivated.
You've got all of
but
the
still,
secret,
people are still
everything.
not getting to where they want to go. Why? Because there's something that's missing in between that they're not learning, which is the work. Now, to answer your question, what did I do? The work, which is what people avoid saying because it's not cool. It's not exciting. No one wants to talk about hard work. But hard work is what gets you from point A to point B. It's not the exposure, because people think, if I go on radio...
Damn, she says this here, and she says no, the exposure. That's what we do. That's my hard work, exposure.
But the thing is, especially on its own, it's not going to do much.
Yeah.
So you expose me, and then someone calls me, and then I have no content. I'm not
Yes,
prepared.
yes.
I never put in the work. So I wasted your time.
Yes, yes.
And your resources. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's disrespectful to you. So that on its
It's a clever way
own.
of speaking. We're going to use this as a problem.
So the last thing you want is to waste people's time. I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
The reason why I contacted you is because I wanted to be value
Yeah.
to your time, to bring it to your time, you know. So I put in the work, and the work is, okay, these are my talks. I did a website. Some of these things don't require money, people. People always talk about money. Find the right people and have the right conversations. But nonetheless, whatever is in your control, I live by that. What is in my control? Okay, I want to do 1, 3, and 4. What is in my control, I'm going to do 100%, and I'm going to excel at it. Okay, social media, great, I'm going to do that because I can get Wi-Fi at wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And this, and everything that I can, even with writing a book, buy a book for 10 rand somewhere and start writing with a pen. You don't have to have a computer. What you want to do is write. So I made sure that I did everything within my control, and I put in the work. And I would make a list every Sunday. I still do this today, every Sunday. Okay, what am I going to do this week that's going to get me closer to where I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't wait for big moments. Is, okay, what is in my influence now? Okay, great, I'm on WhatsApp. I'm going to post things that motivate people. Because what do I want to do? I want people to live better lives.
Yeah.
I want them to realize their potential. I'm going to use that.
So you also wrote a book which you published last year. While I wait, I'm preparing to win. Self-published. Who's this book aimed at?
Everyone who has a place, a destiny, a dream that they want to get to, but at this moment in their lives, they feel like it's either too far or they don't see the possibility of it. We all have that one thing. You might have achieved something. There's always that one thing where you're like, man, I've been working at this thing for years, but it has not gotten to that place or to that point that I want.
Is that not, and I have to conclude because this is supposed to be a quickie, so,
Yes.
but is that not wishy-washy? You know, people hear those things and say, yeah, but don't you, people like you, don't you make it look so easy that, well, because I want it, I can achieve it. At which point do you tell people, maybe this one we give up and try something else?
Everything you have to, there's a purpose, which is I'm called to inspire, to make people better, and then there's goals, and then there's dreams. So with dreams, you give them a deadline. Okay, my dream is to be an astronaut. Great. By the end of the year, if all my resources and everything I've tried is not working out, I put that to the side. Perhaps I don't do that immediately. Doesn't mean I'm never going to do it. But what other things that do I have that I could do in the meantime that could succeed? And again, I'm going to go back to the issue of time. We all have to invest time, which is something, especially my generation, we don't want to invest time.
Yeah.
Because we think it's going to happen next week, next month. We don't want to give things a year. We start a business, we don't see it blooming within the next year, we want to do the next thing. But I think the most important thing is that we have to have grit. Grit is perseverance and persistence. I'm going to do this until I see fruit of it.
Well, she writes books, she blogs, she preaches, you can tell that, she teaches, she motivates, she inspires. So where do we find all those things, those inspirational things? What are the platforms where we access you?
On my website, that's where I post my blogs every 2 weeks, which is www.zintlencipa.com. And then on Instagram, it's Zintle_Ncipa. And I think that's the same for my...
And also on the website, that's where we can buy the book.
Yes.
Great stuff. We're going to repeat all the details on our platform because you probably don't know how to spell Zintle Ncipa. Will help you to do that. We are on Talk with Rams, all our platforms on social media, and please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube, Talk with Rams. Zintle, been wonderful having you here. I am inspired, and I'm not
Thank you.
giving you BS here. I really mean it,
Thank you.
and I wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Love your energy.